Hello and welcome to another edition of the Women's Basketball Talk Show. I'm Assistant Coach Brandon Bias, and I'm joined by always Head Coach David Smalley. Coach Smalley, it seems like it's been forever since we did this show.
It's been a long day's night, as the Beatles would say. It has been a long time. It seems like it was last year, wasn't it?
It was definitely last year, and I don't even get the Beatles reference.
Okay.
So, looking back at it, we're going to kind of review the 4 games that we played during break before our last episode. So, we were sitting at, I believe, 13-1. Heading into the break, or 14-1. In our first game that we played, we were supposed to go to Indiana Wesleyan, who was ranked number 7, on December 30th, but due to some travel, difficulties that happened to the Indiana Wesleyan team, we got the game on January 2nd at Rio. Can we kind of go in and talk about the Indiana Wesleyan game?
Well, that all kind of fell into our lap, and we were extremely excited and happy. We left Puerto Rico on the 20th, had great success getting from Puerto Rico to D.C. to Cleveland back to Rio. We had no hiccups. We were good to go. Indiana Wesleyan, the women's team, they left Florida on the 20th, about the same time. They struggled. They had to stay in an airport for 24-plus hours, and then they tried to go to another airport. They ended up driving home, so they didn't get home till Christmas. So they called you. They called Coach Bias and explained the situation. Asking if we could collaborate and maybe work with them a little bit. He felt he needed to send his players home for Christmas just for a couple of days. And so it all worked out, and then Indiana Wesleyan decided, hey, we'll come to you on January the 2nd if it all works out. And we're like, hello, so, yes.
And with that, let's talk one. I mean, we're not used to getting treated in return like that. That would be something that we would do and offer to a team. So, even though we came up on the short end, that was just a great environment. We had close to 1,200 people at noon on a Monday game. And, our players definitely lived up to the billing, and we just came up a little bit short, losing that game 81-77. Can you kind of talk about that game?
Well, you mentioned the fan base. That was unbelievable. I think we had the official count was 1,125. And I think that's due to, our coaching staff, Coach Bias, got out on the horn, got on the news media, and we got a lot of high schools in. We had about 12 high schools, local high school girls teams that came, and PALS are a group right here in our own community with special needs adults came, and it was just rocking. Our men's basketball was a huge supporter, and the few sports that were here, it was a great environment, and that really made us feel good. Our community does such a good job, our game sponsors and community people, so that was huge and that was cool. And Indiana Wesleyan, they're the real deal. They're number 7 in the country for a reason, and we played extremely well. The lesson I think that we internalized from that Indiana Wesleyan game, we can play with the top 10 teams in the country. And be honest with you, from a coaching perspective, we had an opportunity to win that game. And probably if I'd have made a couple different decisions down the stretch, I think it would have worked out. But I'm so proud of our players for hanging in there, playing hard, playing well in an environment. When you're on your home court, and I'm going to say this, and I may get hurt. Spanked a little bit, but when you're on your home court playing a top-ranked team, you should get some love and some respect and 50-50 calls from your own conference officials. And it didn't go that way, and that's not why we lost, but it was a great game, and we had opportunities down the stretch, ended up losing by 4, and that was a good win. And that was I hate to say a good loss, but for the second time in our history here, we lose and we pop up in the rankings, and I know you'll talk about that later. But Indiana Wesleyan, a great basketball team. University of Rio Grande Red Storm, a great basketball team. And the people that were there and watched it, they got a prelude to what's going to happen in the pod, the first round of the national tournament, and what's going to happen at the Sweet 16 when we're out at Sioux City.
Yeah, so with that too, if you go down and you look at our record, we're currently 16-2. We're 8-0 in the conference. But the reason of the Indiana Wesleyan, and we scheduled to go to Indiana Wesleyan, and we didn't put a fight up for it. This year we've been the road warriors. At the end of the year we'll tally total miles traveled, and it's going to be up there. But the thing of it is you're doing something right when people maybe will agree to you, but only if you come to them.
Right.
I mean, we've all been there. We know what that means. They think that you come here, you're going to get that. Now, for Indiana Wesleyan, that's a program where we respect their history. They've had a history of great coaches going to the postseason and going deep. And we had connected with Indiana Wesleyan 2 years ago at the pod site at Thomas More. And we said it'd be great to play in the future. So this is why we scheduled this game. And I think after playing us, he knows that we probably made them better as well. So it's going to be something we're going to try to do in the future and play, because anytime you can compete against a national team, it only makes your team better. Obviously, you always want to come out on the winning side. But we still did some things. I thought, out of the 40 minutes, I thought for 36 minutes of the game we played better.
We did.
We were the better team. But a national championship team doesn't fall off. They stay and they weather the storm, and that's what Indiana Wesleyan did. They weathered the storm. And I think that's what we did when we talk here in a minute about Midway. We weathered the storm. The Midway game prepared us for the win in a tight game against Midway. So can you just go down and give a couple pluses from the Indiana Wesleyan game?
Well, we out-rebounded them 44 to, I believe, 36, which to me that's a huge advantage. That's been one of our mottos. We got to out-rebound teams. We have to out-rebound teams going forward.
Lead the country.
And lead the country and continue that. So we did a great job there. We didn't get to the free throw line as much as we're kind of accustomed to. But we shot 84%. We were 16 for 19, if I recall. They were 17 of 23. On point scoring, of course, Ellis Gaines had 28 points. Darnell had 16. Asia Williams had 8, and Asia Williams had 9 assists in that process. So we were doing what we normally have done against every team. We had great guard play. We're getting good scoring from various people, and our bench has always been contributing and doing great things. It's just we were playing against just a little higher caliber of an athlete, very similar to ourselves a little bit, and just fell short there. But a great learning experience, a great game to continue our trek and what we're doing, and looking forward to the challenges that come in front of us.
Yeah, so that game was over, high octane, adrenaline out the roof. And then you're thinking, okay, well, hopefully we can refocus within the next 2 or 3 days before we play another game. Wrong. We have to turn around in a little over 24 hours and play a conference game. And sometimes it's so hard whenever you're up so high to turn around and flip the switch and be right back on it. Not an excuse for how we started. But against that IU Kokomo team, they came in here. Some teams take it as disrespect if you scheduled a game the day before you play a conference game, like you didn't need to prepare for us. That wasn't the case for us, but definitely I'm sure that was used as bulletin board material for IU Kokomo. We end up weathering the storm in the IU Kokomo and pulling out a 30-point victory around 27, I believe. Can you kind of talk about the IU Kokomo pluses?
Well, the things that we were concerned about IU Kokomo, and we kind of experienced this in Puerto Rico. We played the night before and just beat somebody very badly, played less than 16 hours the next morning at 10 o'clock and really struggled against a better team, and we turned the ball over in Puerto Rico. We turned the ball over against IU Kokomo 28 times, which you take our normal average turnover would be somewhere probably around 13, 12, 14, somewhere in that area. So you take those extra possessions away, obviously hurts us a little bit there. We didn't shoot free throws well. We were 17 for 28 for 61%. That's probably the poorest that we've shot all year because we're right around the high 70s and low 80s. So you add those things in, and again, I think maybe the letdown, playing a very tough Indiana Wesleyan the night before, the physiological letdown, the mental letdown, we still righted the ship, and as you had indicated, we beat IU Kokomo 76-49. We had 3 people in double figures. It'd be Darnell, and Asia Williams again had a pretty decent game with 15 points and 4 assists, and then of course I think Ella with 23 points and 11 rebounds, and then again our bench I thought did a great job there as well. So it wasn't what we say, it wasn't pretty, but under the circumstances, playing back to back as like we did after a tough Indiana Wesleyan, I was okay with that.
Yeah. So wait a second here. I'm going to check the polls and see. Oh, yep. Anybody take a 27-point ugly win, I guess.
Yes.
So we will definitely take that. So as we look at our trip that we made out to Indiana, followed by a trip to Kentucky against Midway. So we played Saturday the 7th at St. Mary's of the Woods. And again, maybe coaches were a little hard on the players, and we're sitting there harping on, we can't play like we did against IU Kokomo. We can't play like you did against IU Kokomo. Because, again, it's an ugly 27-point victory, but it just didn't play up to the standards that we know that our team is and where we are at this point in the season. But, my goodness, we start off sluggish, which that's okay. I think we maybe do that, play cat and mouse a little bit. I don't know. But, man, when that light switch flipped, man, we end up scoring 112 points. And I believe I can't remember, I think with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, we trailed 11-10. And we end up with 112. So can you kind of just talk about the high octane that happened there and what we see every day in practice?
Well, before the light switched to the positive that you're alluding to, it was a little grim to me. We were flat at St. Mary's, and it kind of started a little bit of a mental thing. We get up there and a little unconcerned or undirected as to what we're doing in our shoot around. So we're in an auxiliary gym. Auxiliary gym. That's a gym that you don't play the game in. So that was a little stressful and frustrating for this old boy. But we being as diplomatic as we are, we got it worked out, and we got to practice on the main floor. So, and it's a great place, great environment. It's a tough place to play. St. Mary's is a very, very good team. I think down the road, it's a new coach. I think if given time, I think they're going to be a very, very good team in the River States Conference. They're long, they're athletic. So we start out kind of slow, sluggish, things not going well. End up changing into one of our defenses that really didn't want to do until maybe third quarter. But that kind of righted the ship for us a little bit, and then we started clicking. And then once the gates were open, I was real proud of our players. I don't have that stat box in front of me, but I do know you mentioned we scored 112 points, and it wasn't a run-up situation. And I will never tell players not to play hard. And we clicked on all cylinders. And to be honest with you, it's been so many games and so many things going on since then. I can't pull up, and I think you're looking up the stats now, but was pleased that we got out of there with a good victory. I think a victory that maybe kind of was self-healing a little bit for us because we hadn't been playing up to our par, I didn't think. Again, Indiana Wesleyan, great game. I thought we played below our level of capabilities, and I thought we should have won that. We certainly didn't play as strong as we could have against Kokomo. So then we're at St. Mary's, and we kind of start out the same way the first quarter, but we changed our stars early, and so I was proud of the players for doing that.
Yeah, so to get back to that, some stats from the St. Mary's game. Kaylee Darnell, 24 points. And let me tell you, for anybody that just wants to say Ellis Gaines, Kaylee Darnell is playing really, really good basketball right now, and I'll tell you what, she's there with Ella, and the good thing about those two, they don't care which one's on and which one, they'll make that pass to that person. And I'll tell you, whenever you have to prepare for Rio, you can't fixate on one person. Right. Let's take those two out. We have went on some of our bigger runs when we're giving one of them a break, if not both of them, because the teammates know they got to bring it just a little bit harder. And I'm telling you, right now, Kaylee Darnell's playing her best basketball this year.
Great.
She had 24 points. We have Asia Williams, who had 12 points and 6 assists. Again, I'll stop again. Asia Williams is playing her best basketball right now. I mean, she's finally got comfortable, and she's playing some pretty fabulous basketball. Ellis Gaines, 15 points, 6 rebounds. We go down. Reagan Willingham had 11 points, 3 threes. Lexi Woods, who scored her 1,000th point in the Midway game, the next game, but had 15 points and 7 rebounds. Those were the 5 double-figure scores. We played we played 14 people and 13 people scored in this game. So like you said, it wasn't a let's run it up. And we're not going to tell our players when they go in not to score, because you've got some people who may not get the larger minutes, and when they go in, they want to say, hey,
They're
coach,
hungry.
I can do
Yep.
these things for you. You can't just do it in practice. We got to see it in the game. In that game, Harley had 4, Jocelyn had 8, Marley had 4. And again, Marley, a player that we'll bring on a little bit later, Marley's playing probably, she's finally getting back into the swings, and we had talked about this before with Marley on the radio with Randy, is, I compare her right now to Aaliyah Kreitz freshman year. Every time Aaliyah Kreitz was playing really great, something happened to her. Mm-hmm. She got in that car wreck and had whiplash that one time. Marley gets sick. Marley has this. She keeps getting setback. But when she's playing consecutive weeks back to back, she's playing her best basketball.
And we're looking forward to hearing from Marley, because Marley had media classes in high school, so she's gonna rock the world here. And Marley, the game kind of slows down. And when she's playing, it's so cool to watch her do a fake and then a drop down pass for an assist or get it to the glass. And the other young lady that you're going to talk to, Natalie Kaladiev, is coming along, and she had a great practice today. And maybe she'll talk a little bit about her the ultimate pad drill. But she is becoming a force on the inside, rebounding, getting boards, putting it back up, and playing out on the perimeter. And defensively, she's getting better. So we're pleased, as you mentioned, with the bench and everybody that we got coming in and contributing.
Yeah, and Natalie had 6 that game. Natalie is probably playing her best basketball. I think she's finally getting comfortable with what we're asking her to do, coming from a different program. She had been in 2 programs before she came to ours. Both of them were different, so I'm sure putting a third one in there was a little tough, and as much stuff as we do, it's not easy to learn right out the gate. So she's up there playing her best basketball. Lavender Ward, she had 5 points, but my gosh, what she gives us in the defense, and she is kind of like our pit bull of the team. She goes out there and sets the tempo, and if you don't follow, she'll just be a one-man band. She'll do it herself. So she's fun to watch. Courtney Pfeiffer, 5 points, and Grace Forrest with a 3-pointer in the corner. So again, everybody came in, everybody contributed. So we took that, we scored 112, we're all up on that, but then leave it to the coaching staff to ground them and say, when we go to Midway, it ain't going to be no 112 points. And we all knew that, so let's fast forward it. Now we're going to Midway. Midway is 6-1 in their conference when we go to them. We're 7-0. They beat us, and it's like a little flat curve there, and then Oakland City, who's 7-0, they're sitting pretty, but they got both of us to play. If we win, we control our own destiny, because we only play Oakland City once. And our goal was we had to stay undefeated to control our own destiny.
Correct.
And that was the whole motto of the game, is do whatever it takes to win. So first quarter, when we go in there, I don't know that we did everything we need to win that first 5 minutes. It was more of what just happened. Everything we had prepared for had just went down the tube. But again, those ladies, there's something in them called that light switch, and whenever they flip it, they're fun to watch. So can you talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of the first quarter?
Well, first of all, Midway, we knew what Midway was all about, the battles we had with them last year in regular season and then in the conference tournament. And then we were fortunate that Midway joined us in the Bevo this year, and they were not hitting on all cylinders during the early part of their season. As a matter of fact, they may have lost 5 or 6 games in the November, December era. When they were at the Bevo, they lost a triple overtime game to Cumberland's out of Tennessee, and then they lost a nail biter, maybe a 2-point game against Bryan College. So we knew that they're going to get better as the season went along. And I told Coach Minner, I said, you guys are going to, when we play you in January, you're going to be clicking on all cylinders. And they are a very dynamic and good team. They have speed, they have quickness, they have length. They have Desiree White, number 5, who's just an unbelievable player. She dropped 30 on us during this game that we're talking about. And so we knew going into their environment, their students had just started back to class Monday. We played Tuesday. Place was rocking, but I will say this, the Rio contingency, the support we had several people there, and we had some very vocal people there, and that helped us quite a bit down the stretch during this game, and just a tremendous game. We came out, we knew they were going to press. We'd planned and worked against that. We knew Midway, and they knew us. There's no secrets. There's nothing that the other coaching staff didn't know. So we come out, we break the press and hit a deuce, and then they miss, we come back down. Darnell gets fouled, she's at the line, she makes one, misses one. So we have a 3-point lead right now, and I'll be honest with you, I kind of exhaled a little bit and kind of, yes. Then the next thing we look up, we are ahead 3-0. Then you look up, it's 13-3, and yes, we hadn't scored anymore, so we're down 10. So we kind of right the ship. We don't get too excited. We don't get too stressed. We start methodically kind of breaking things down. We go in at halftime with a 15 or 16 point lead. So we had some good talks, and we said, this doesn't mean that we've got this game wrapped up, because they're too good of a team. And the officiating kind of changed a little bit. I know right at the end of second quarter, Coach Minner was really, he kind of had a quorum or a symposium or a little meeting with the officials. I had started my journey to the locker room, and I saw that happening, and I busted right over there because I want to eat some popcorn and listen to the show. And Coach Minner let them have it. I mean, he let them have it. And lo and behold, third quarter, we come out, we still are gaining ground. We get up 16, and we finally get up 20, 21 in the third quarter. But the officiating completely changed. And then going into the fourth quarter, we still had a comfortable lead, and we're kind of nursing a 9-10, 8-7. Then it got down 6-5, and then there was this phantom technical on one of our players, on Harley Antrit, and which didn't really understand, and we're still trying to figure all that out. And then officiating kind of switched, and they hit free throws, and number 5 White kind of got excited, and she did her thing, and we find ourselves with 9 seconds. It's tied ball game, 79-79, and Miss Ellis Skeens at the line, sinks 2 free throws. They call timeout, advance the ball, and we're pretty aggressive and physical, but the officials kind of swallow the whistle, and we get the rebound and we win. So it was a great game, and it's one of those games that I thought Coach Minner did some great things, and then I thought we did some great things, and then the flow of the game kind of got going in different directions. I thought it was just one of those good, solid games. I'd rank that, like you just said earlier, that's an Indiana Wesleyan game. That's a Marion type of game. That's a national tournament type of game. Midway deserves all the accolades that they get, and hopefully, it'd be so cool if we both make it to the national tournament and we get on separate ends or separate brackets and meet eventually somewhere else. But what a great game. So proud of our players for making that happen. Darnell just... We hopped on her shoulders. Ella was 15 points, 10 rebounds, and some people say, well, gosh, what was wrong with her? 15 points and 10 rebounds.
Well, you also got to look at the fact is sometimes Ella's keyed in on, and her and Darnell take a bumping on a nightly basis. Maybe I'm being a little biased. It's in my name. But I feel like those two players could get 10 foul shots apiece each game because they draw contact so well, but they don't get it. Yeah. They do not get it. For what both of them do, you get an unbiased person to watch every single game we play, and I guarantee there's 8 to 10 foul shots each of them do not get per night. Yeah. Now, with that, so you had talked about, we had both did some good things. Midway, what a lot of people don't know is Midway had that rough start, and I remember you telling Coach Minner that, like, hey man, they lost 3 big time players, and they had to fill those holes. And a lot of people don't know it just doesn't happen like that for some teams. Chemistry takes time to develop. Midway has played a very, very tough schedule. He doesn't dodge people. Yeah, Midway doesn't dodge people, and I'll tell you what, we've played Pikeville, who's number 28 in the current poll. Rochester, who is vying after a loss to Siena Heights, they're the number 2 team in their conference, or kind of tied, but a loss to Indiana Tech. Rochester beats them head-to-head. Rochester may be the number 1 team in the Wolverine conference. Bryan College, You know, Bryan is banging right there at number 1 because Reinhardt just lost to Milligan last night.
Cool.
So Bryan may be the number 1 team there. You got Cumberland out of Tennessee, who Midway had that triple overtime game with, and you know, like you said, I mean, a call here or there, they probably aren't in that situation, and it's a story of all of our seasons. Right. So Mount Vernon, who is a very up and down team, but my God, they have the pieces. That's a good team. They play good competition. And then you have our conference teams, and then you have Indiana Tech. So what I'm trying to say is we've played all those teams, and I'll tell you what, Midway can go, you know, tooth and nail with any of those teams.
Agreed.
But now they're a pressing team. If some night people break it and they get more shots, they're going to get that. But Midway in the second half probably gave it to us better than any team that we've played against.
Did.
But that gave us a lot of growth and helped us.
And back to the Midway, our 2 guests here, we want to make sure we talk about Natalie. Had 6 points, 6 rebounds, and had at least 17 minutes. And then Marley had 5 points and 3 assists, and really gave us great minutes. And what our players, and I think our fans don't quite understand, it's all about, it's like a puzzle, it's pieces. You know, you got some of your bigger pieces, Ella and Darnell, I mean, and that's just natural, that's normal. But the other pieces that come in that keep it going, that really make the puzzle look sharp, that's these young ladies here, and that's our bench, and we've hung our hats on that now for 2 straight seasons, and that's going to be a building block in our program going forward.
So, and 2 things I want to touch on before we wrap up the Midway game is, you know, I think it was .78 and 79 were 1,000 for Lexi. She hit the foul shots to do that, and you know, what a way to hit your 1,000 points. I mean, what she's been here, she's been in the program for 4 years, but still has 2 years of eligibility. You know, had a kid. He just turned 1. So for her to do everything she's done and still reach her goals, because she'll tell you her goal since day one's been, I want to score 2,000 points.
Right.
And, you know, we had a talk with her when she was coming back from that, and she said, my goals haven't changed. So, you know, kudos to her for reaching 1,000, and we'll have her on next week to kind of dedicate a little, you know, a little segment to her. And the second thing, we'll give a shout out to one of our biggest fans, President Smith. As a coach, it's good just to know when a fan gets you, or, you know, for us, it's a boss and a fan in President Smith. By the end of the game, when I'm sitting over there just mad because I felt like, you know, we should have won by more and we should have did this and we should have done that, he already had the clip sent to me of the Harley foul and the technical. And he agreed with me that it was just like, what happened here? What is a technical? So, and Coach Minner would probably even laugh and agree with this one, is how do they call the technical in that crucial part of a game? But now again, it goes at the end. How do they not call a foul at the end of the game when we're pretty rough? So it kind of evens out, but as a fan, when you watch it and you go back, it sucks to penalize a player. When she goes high, she misses the girl's head, so you could give a warning for the elbows. Okay, they called an offensive foul. You get that. But when you pick it up and then you find out that the foul's on you because she thought the foul was on the girl because she was up in her,
I did too.
She was up in her cylinder. I mean, she's up in her space, not giving her any
Right.
room. So she just puts the ball down. It hits the other player's foot, but the referee says it hit her in the head. So hopefully the referee goes back and watches synergy, and she can find out that we're all human and make mistakes, and that's okay.
Right.
It came out on the good end. So we wrap up that. So now we're 16-2. We're 8-0 in the conference, and you know, and we'll get to a section here in a minute. But we're currently ranked number 11 in the top 25 poll. We got IU Southeast, who's a thorn in our side as well. So, you know, we played them last year in a 3-point game or 2-point game. It was like 97-100 or 98-100. We won that. And then we had to turn around and play them in the first round, then beat them by 50. So, I mean, you just don't know what you're going to get. But we know that they have the tools to compete with us. They have dynamic guards. They have forwards that are long and can step out and hit the three. Can you tell us what you expect for Saturday's game?
Well, IU Southeast will be rolling in here, and to me, that's a plus. We're at home. You know, we're finally getting a home game here. And Coach Ferris down at IU Southeast, he's kind of like me, old as dirt. He's been there forever. He always has a good nucleus of players, and Nothing's changed on his team for this year. They're 12-6 maybe overall. They have a winning league record. They're long. They're kind of athletic. They drive. They got some guards. Not sure if they're going to be 100%. We're hearing through the grapevine that maybe one of their better players may be out, but we got to prepare as if she's going to be there. And we went over scouting report yesterday. We had one practice today. We got another practice tonight. We'll practice twice tomorrow, and then we'll play Saturday. So Indiana Southeast, what they're going to bring to this table is a lot of penetration from the guards. They got some three-point shooters that we got to be concerned about. We have had the ability to go over and analyze their offensive sets and how we're going to defend them and their out-of-bounds plays. And I think this Coach Markham scout, and I want to kind of little commercial here. My coaches do a great job of preparing scouting reports. They switch off. They'll take one, and then the next one will take the next one. And what people out there don't understand, to prepare for a team, it's not just 35 minutes that you look at film. I mean, in the old days, it was 4 to 6 hours easy that you would have to spend. With technology, that probably is down to maybe 2 to 4 hours right now. But it's a cognitive process, and so proud of our players to be able to absorb all that information. They know the player personnel. They know each individual, what they're going to do, what their strengths and weaknesses are. They know the offensive sets. They know the out-of-bounds plays. They know the defensive concepts, and then how we're going to counter and then how we're going to defend. It's really kind of a remarkable system, what college coaches go through, and I think what our program goes through. So we're excited and ready for that. I do want to give a shout out to our game sponsors on this Saturday against IU Southeast, be Ryan and Michelle Young, tremendous sponsors and have been even in the lean years, and they've been with us, and so we're glad to have them as sponsors. Back to IU Southeast, they can score points. And as you mentioned, we played them last year, and I think it was a 4-point game. It was 101 to 97 or something like that in our house. So they have that comfort zone. Not sure if they'll come up and shoot around and practice, but that'll be determined. But we're going to have our hands full, Coach.
Yeah, so and before we wrap up here, and again, we apologize. We haven't had a show in a while. I got to let it out of him. But let's talk about the top 25 poll and just, you're going into your 31st year, and the past 2 years, last year's battle to even people to even respect us or say, okay, you're even a decent team. I mean, we've got a 7 seed with 30 wins.
Yeah.
They said you don't play a tough enough schedule. You don't do this. You don't do that. So you know what? We just took everything they said and said, all right, we don't dodge anybody, but I'll tell you what, in our inbox and our emails are empty. Nobody's sending us messages to play. So can you kind of talk about the fight and just a little bit of probably being a little bit humble that we're finally getting recognized, and we're ranked number 11 in this new poll. And rankings don't mean anything, but it's good that people acknowledge the hard work you're putting in.
Rankings right now, as we sometimes say at halftime, mean absolutely, teetotally, positively, nothing, nada. But now we're at the stage of the season that they do. The early rankings, you can drop like a hot potato, or you can move up depending on the politics and wins and losses. We're kind of at that point now. As long as we don't implode internally, we're probably going to stay around 11, 12, 10, 13, somewhere in that area, just because of what our body of work is the term that they use in the ranking system, body of work. And we had to break into that body of work with all of our accolades and accomplishments from last year. I mean, you understand we're 32-3 last year and did some phenomenal things, but we really didn't break into the respect of the Raiders until this year, because they're thinking, whoa, they did that last year and now they're doing it again this year. They must be legit. So that's a whole process. In my tenure here, in 31 years, I believe the highest this program has been ranked since I've been here is number 10. And we've been ranked several times throughout those years, but it's usually, 14 to 25, somewhere in that area. So to be in this neck of the woods, to be at 11 right now, with a chance to move up to maybe 10, to be honest with you, if we break into the top 10, that would be unbelievably awesome. We gotta win out, and I know it stresses my players out and stresses my wife out and stresses anybody out when you talk about what we got to do. We got to win. We got to win. We got to win. Well, we take one game, championship, one game at a time. Our next most important game is Saturday against IU Southeast, but in the long haul, if we can continue doing what we're doing and win it out, win the conference tournament, maybe host our pod or get in a pod, first 2 national tournament games and win that, there's so many things can happen. So many things can happen for this team and these players. They work so hard and they deserve that. So that's kind of where we are in that ranking thing, and we don't let it become it's not a cloud, it's not a monster, it doesn't drive us. We embrace it, we enjoy it, and then I didn't even know the polls came out yesterday until I got bombarded with several of you guys, ding, 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 and all that. What is going on? Oh, we're 11. Hey, that's awesome. That's great. We got IU Southeast on Saturdays. That's kind of our mentality.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this with all seriousness that, we want to be ranked 11. We want to be number 1. I mean, that's what we train for.
Sure.
But we also know that any loss to any opponent, we lose that number 11. So if you think we're going to overlook anybody, you get the same scouting report for a team that's 0-30 as you do with a team that's 30-0, because you slip up and you lose a game you shouldn't, and that hurts you more than probably winning a game.
Right.
I mean, losing a close game. So you can't lose games this point of the season. So every game we're trying to win, and that's what you said about one-game championships. All right. So, Coach, we appreciate your time. We're going to bring on 2 players. Let's go ahead and bring them on.
Let's get them in here.
All right, welcome back. We are now joined by freshman, guard, forward, whatever we want her to do, Marley Grinstead, and sophomore, redshirt sophomore, still has 2 years eligibility after this year, Natalie Kaladiev, if I say that properly. I always feel insecure about saying Natalie's name, so we'll stick with Natalie. All right, welcome, ladies. Just kind of want to get into a little bit about, both of you are new to Rio, so when you come into Rio, you got to hear all the good stories of the 32-3 season last year and all these cool trips, Marley supporting the Puerto Rico. So all the recruiting tactics we used to get you here, can you kind of elaborate on what drew you to come to Rio? We'll start with Marley first.
Well, one of my big things, honestly, was being close to home and being able to have my parents come and support me at games. But just like the family aspect of the team and being around just being around Rio, it's just so family oriented. And yeah. Yeah,
definitely. And Natalie, can you kind of touch on that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like, as Marley said, for me too, like the family aspect is like, that was something that was drawing me here, especially because I'm from far away. And I really, really think that that's something that made my stay here like a lot better.
Yeah, definitely. So Marley, what is, when did you know that I want to be a college basketball player?
Oh, I've known for a very long time that I wanted to play college basketball. Like, even like anywhere, I just wanted to play. Like as a kid, like 2nd grade, I was like, I want to play basketball.
That's awesome. Natalie, what about you?
For me, it was a little different because I stopped playing basketball for a long time, actually, and then I started again, and I just found my love for it again, so, yeah.
Natalie, the people want to know, what sport did you do whenever you walked away from basketball?
I was dancing.
Okay, so dancing. So
that.
would Natalie be the best dancer on the team?
Probably. Her or Ross.
She said, I don't know if we give Ross that much credit. We don't want to see that. So, what has been, in the early time that both of you have been here, Marley, what's your favorite thing about that you've done so far with the team?
Well, obviously, like the trips, like going to Florida and going to Puerto Rico, that's really cool. But I know, was it at the St. Mary of the Woods game when we had that recruit there?
Mm-hmm.
I told her that, like, it's like I'm the only freshman on the team.
Yeah.
And I told her that I feel like I have a bunch of big sisters on the team. Like, it's just so cool. Like, Lexi Woods, like, she'll take time to explain to me something that I don't understand. Like, she'll put her arm around my shoulder and be like, this is what you need to do. I think that's really cool, and that's probably my favorite thing about the team and about.
And they all treat Marley like their little sister too. Sometimes they
They beat
baby,
me up a
sometimes
little
they
bit.
baby her too much, and then sometimes they too rough on her. So you got to find that happy middle point. Natalie, what about you?
Definitely the trips. I think like going to Florida was nice because I wasn't in Florida last year, so it was cool to be there again. And Puerto Rico was just awesome, being on the beach, especially. And I feel like the longer the team knows, like the longer I know the team, the more comfortable I feel, and the better our trips are because we are all more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, definitely. So can you kind of talk about, Marley's going to be a little different from Natalie, but it may intertwine. So Marley, can you talk about the difference in the competition? So let's talk about Marley, the star of her high school team, playing some really good high school teams, but then Marley at that first scrimmage against Thomas More and Marley playing a college schedule. Can you kind of just talk about the adjustments and the difference that you've had to make?
Well, obviously the pace is a lot different, a lot faster at the college level, and I just know that like my role is completely different here, and I'm okay with that. Like I know I have to get out there and play my hardest and just dive on the floor for a loose ball and just do the little things right. And
Yeah. Old Dad may have got nervous if you're diving for a ball in high school.
Yeah.
He's like, I need you to score 40 for me. Don't dive after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing whatever it takes. And then what about you, Natalie?
Similar, like because I've been mostly playing a guard when I was like playing basketball before, but I just love that I'm doing more things now because I think it like makes me more versatile, or like
Yes.
any player more versatile, and it's like beneficial for every player to be able to post up and go against a few people rather than just like staying outside of the perimeter.
Yeah, definitely. And the more positions you play, the more playing time you get.
Right.
And
Now-
I was a point guard for
Yeah,
those.
I mean, Marley was a point guard.
I've been
Now-
a point guard my whole life.
And then she was a point four for us. She played the stretch four. The first day when I was like, there'll be times you're going to be you'll be the stretch four, and she just looked at me like I said something in a language she didn't understand, and I said, is that a problem? And she looked at me and she said, I'll play whatever you want, Coach. And both of them are like that. I mean, they both just they'll do whatever for you, and they'll run through a wall for a coach, and they'll probably run through 3 walls for their teammates, and that's just the sisterhood that they've built up. So we're gonna put them all on blast here. We're gonna try to figure out some questions about their teammates. So, and yours could differ, could be the same. I don't know. Hopefully it differs because that would make for interesting. So the number who is. So we started. So we know the best dancer. You said it's probably going to be Natalie, or it's probably going to be Ross.
Yeah.
So if one who's the best singer? All of you be trying to lip sing songs and stuff. Who's going to be the best singer on the team?
I don't know if we've heard everybody sing.
Yeah. The person I've heard sing the most is Ross, probably too.
She sings a lot
Yeah,
before
she does.
practice.
So Ross,
Yeah.
I know that I would personally go with Natalie because I seen that, and I haven't seen Ross, but I mean, I could only imagine. But here recently at Coach Smalley's, there's a little piano playing with some singing. And I'm thinking she ain't going to be able to play or sing anything that I know, and I thought that was cool that she could do that. That's just multitasking. So now she's a dancer and she plays the piano. So stay tuned to find out what else she does. And we're going to do a private show just for Natalie and her hidden talents. We may let Marley run that one. So, what's your go-to artist to listen to before a game
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't know.
or song?
Sometimes I go between country, like,
Okay.
I don't know, country like gets me in the zone a little bit,
Okay.
and then, I don't know, maybe some Rod Wave, I don't know if you know who that is,
I have
but
no idea who that is.
yeah, that's
But
my
like, are
artist
we talking
probably.
country? Like we're talking about like she thinks my tractor's sexy or something?
All
like
kind
what,
of country, yeah.
What kind of country gets you motivated to go out and just destroy somebody in basketball?
That kind of country, yeah.
Okay,
Like the
well,
old country.
I was wondering.
I'm being
If you
honest,
start
yeah.
doing the watermelon crawl out there, Coach Smalley may sub you out. I don't know. So we may do that. Natalie, what about you?
I love listening to Spanish music
Yeah.
because I just love the vibe. And also, sometimes I love listening to German rap. Even though, like, back home, I never listen to German rap because, like, everybody understands it. But here, nobody understands it. So it's kind of cool.
I'm kind of with you on the Spanish songs.
Yeah,
Now, I have
Spanish
no
is-
idea what they say, but I love the beats.
Yeah.
And I just sit there. Now, probably if I knew what some of the songs were, I probably wouldn't listen to them. But they have really good beats. What's your go-to place on the road? If Marley gets to pick where we stop and eat, where are we stopping, Marley?
I know this won't be Natalie's favorite, but I like Cane's. That's my favorite.
Yeah,
place
that's
to
a
eat.
girl.
Not
Natalie's like, I get all the
My
bread I can
nightmare.
handle. Bread and water. All right, Natalie, what about you?
Probably Panera.
Okay,
That's a good
Panera.
one.
Like
Okay.
pretty, yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, I'm siding with Marley on this one. I'm going to get an extra piece of toast. We're going to remove that cold slaw or give it to Coach Smalley, and it's going to get 2 cane sauces. And go on about it. Both of you are going to be around. How exciting does it feel to know that we went to what's first? Let's talk. Marley's got the shirt on Puerto Rico. Like, how awesome an experience was that for a basketball player from Alexander, went to a small college, and she gets to go play a basketball game in Puerto Rico?
That's crazy. Like, I wouldn't probably never have the opportunity really to go to Puerto Rico again, and let alone to play basketball there. That was just something crazy that I'll probably never get to do again unless we go there again.
And what about the 2 arenas we played in?
Oh yeah, that was crazy. It was like, I don't know if you've ever been to the Convo at OU, but it was like mini combos, I thought.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And then, Natalie, I know you're a world traveler and you go all over the place, but how cool was it for your basketball team that you're coming here to study with and play basketball to take those kind of trips together?
It was great, and I think it was so cool that we didn't only play, but we also did other stuff. Like we went to a rainforest,
Oh yeah, that was
like
awesome.
slid down stones, kind of like a waterfall, and what else did we do?
We kayaked.
Oh yeah, we did kayaking. That was
The
nice.
bioluminescent
So like
water.
it was just like a really really cool experience that I wouldn't have done those things like if it wasn't for
That's
basketball.
cool. Now, these are going to be rapid fire questions with some teammates. I just want quick answers.
Okay.
Everybody's going to be okay if you leave them out. So,
All right.
Marley Grinstead is stuck on an island. Which one of her teammates is she taking with her?
Kaylee Darnell.
Kaylee Darnell.
Yep.
Why?
Because she gives me like mom vibes. Like she's gonna take care of me.
Okay, good. Okay. Natalie?
Probably Lav.
Okay. And
Just
why?
because I just love Lav. She's so funny, and
She
like
is.
I love having a good time, and like I know I would laugh all the time.
And y'all are in a rap group together.
That's true.
So you all sit there and just
we
rap
could
it
like
up.
start our little band.
Okay, Marley, you're in a shoe store and you have to buy a nice pair of shoes. Which one of your teammates is helping you pick out the shoes?
Definitely Reagan.
Reagan?
Definitely Reagan or Lexi.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say Reagan.
Okay, and Natalie?
I'd say the same.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shoe gurus.
Yeah. So if you're going to eat after the game and you have to have one of your teammates agree that they want to go to Canes, which teammate's siding with you?
I'm gonna say Harley.
Harley.
Yep.
Okay. Natalie?
I don't even know.
I don't know that anybody sides with Natalie.
No, Panera is good.
No. Hey,
I
Lexi
would
may
say-
go with you.
Yeah,
They got grilled
Lexi,
cheese.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
you'll have that. Let's say you've got two nights off from basketball practice. Pretend like that ever really happened. You got 2 nights off, and Coach Smalley says, "Hey, I don't care what you do, and you're wanting to go, and you're going to have a fun night somewhere. Which teammate's going to show you that fun night?"
Ellis Gaines.
Ellis Gaines.
Yep.
Okay. What about you?
Marley probably.
Marley, hey, we're going to have some more detail on this one.
I got nothing to say.
Marley. I would have thought that. Okay, Marley, the shyest teammate,
Yeah,
but which one of your teammates do you feel like are sheltered but just pretty awesome person when you get to know them?
I'm gonna say Natalie. But
Natalie,
yeah, we've
okay.
gotten a lot closer since she's
Okay.
came with me on Christmas and stuff. And
Okay,
yeah.
Natalie.
Yeah, I'll go with Marley again too, just
Okay.
because I know like she's shy as you said, but like once you get to know her and she
Well,
opens up.
apparently she'll be the one that's going to have fun. Comparing her and Ellis Gaines and knowing their personalities, there's more to the story I don't think we're getting here. Okay, great. So, ladies, we've got a lot left ahead of us. Can you tell us, Marley, what's the team goal for the rest of the year?
I think just getting far in the tournament and winning the rest of our games, because once we win the rest of the games, then we're set good for the tournament, and I think we can do that for sure.
Yeah, Natalie?
I agree, and I also think it's good that we stay focused and like stick together and like win and if we will lose, like do everything together because it will make us like a stronger
Yeah.
team.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to go eat some twinkleberries. I'm hungry.
Me too.
So we're going to wrap this up. That's our episode. I know it's a little long. Stick with us. We want to share our program with you. We'll be back hopefully at our normal schedule on Wednesdays for the Coaches Show. But until next time, come out this Saturday at 1 o'clock and support us. We play IU Southeast. We're going to be home a lot here at the end of the season. I think you owe it to our seniors to come and support them. You owe it to all the other girls. They love the University of Rio Grande. They love this community, but none of it's possible without your all support. So come out Saturday at 1 o'clock. Until then, we're going to go eat before our second practice, and we'll see you later.